The cause of the fire, as we have said, at 298 Beacon Street is still under investigation, but authorities believe it was accidental. It's also too soon to know what happened inside the building leading to the deaths of Michael Kennedy and Edward Walsh.
Something happened, and something, be it trapped, exploded, dropped down on them. I mean, that will be part of the investigation. But something extraordinary happened to have them call a Mayday, the end result was, we had 2 firefighters killed.
We do know the situation was compounded by an explosion. As you can see, the raging fire suddenly shot out the windows as fire crews tried to fight the flames. This kind of explosion can occur when oxygen is rapidly reintroduced to a smoldering fire that's been deprived of oxygen. When that happens, it's called backdraft, and it is often caused when a window breaks. My next guest has trained firefighters for this and other dangerous scenarios. Ken Willett is with the Quincy-based National Fire Protection Association, and he's a former Fire Academy instructor. Thanks for joining us, Ken.
Thank you, Ron.
Difficult day.
It is.
Based on what you've seen in this video and what you know about this fire, how would you describe the severity of what the firefighters were up against? It just looked insurmountable.
Well, at the time they arrived, they might have seen a very different picture than what we saw on the video footage. At the time they arrived, they might have seen a building that was showing some smoke, but not much flame. And given the fact that they made entry into the basement and they had other crews on scene, it appears that what was happening above them was something that maybe was not very obvious at the time. And as you said, with the introduction of fresh air into the area and that explosive development of fire, the question is, how far did that rapid development of fire extend? Was it on all floors? Was it the basement? These are all things that will have to be discovered as they go through the investigation. But firefighters are trained to recognize the dangers and the signs of an impending backdraft.
We found this training video, by the way, showing firefighters creating a backdraft situation. How does this kind of thing happen when firefighters respond to real emergencies?
Sure. The way it typically happens, Ron, is the fire starts in a compartment, and there's no outside ventilation to that compartment. As the fire continues to burn the contents, it develops a large amount of smoke and heat, and that stays in the compartment. It's not released to the atmosphere. There's no fresh air coming in. It's actually burning the oxygen in the space. So what happens is the smoke contains carbon particles. That's a fuel. And it's very heated. That's the temperature. What's needed to complete the fire triangle is fresh air. So when there's an opening made and fresh air is introduced, it explodes into fire development. And it's very common to have a window, a door, forcibly be blown out, and firefighters, if they're in the avenue of the flame that escapes, will be knocked over.
Otherwise, are there telltales or some sort of warning signs that occur within the phenomenon of the fire itself that give you clues that this is about to happen?
Sure. External to the building, you might see the smoke will be pushed away from the building, stop, and then be sucked back in because the building's looking for air. And you might see the color of the smoke change. It might go from a white or a gray to a very deep black or murky smoke.
And that's part of the training regimen?
That's part of the training regimen. Yesterday, the question that has to be answered is, did the wind create a condition that disrupted the smoke flow? So maybe that wasn't visible.
Interesting. Are there some technological tools that can detect situations or conditions in which this is likely to occur? And could those guard against death or injury from backdraft or flashover, as I understand it's also called?
From a firefighter's perspective, the best tool is your senses. What do you see when you arrive and what's happening at that very moment? I'm not aware of any detection devices that could be put there that would indicate to firefighters what was going on. They have thermal imaging cameras that they can use to determine heat, as well as if there's anybody trapped in the area. Right. But those are the best tools I'm aware of, is the firefighter's senses.
Are there any other tools that you're interested in that are in development or becoming available or actually are available that would help locate a firefighter who is suddenly injured by a condition like this?
Sure. There's a lot of research being done right now on how they can go from just devices that sense a firefighter is motionless and then sound an alarm to one that will actually show a location on a screen, much like a GPS. but they just haven't perfected that technology yet.
And does it convey his heart rate and his pulse and so forth?
No, there's nothing doing that right now. Under research and development, but nothing commercially available.
I know WPI has been working on this for a number of years, largely because of the Worcester warehouse fire that took the lives of 6 Worcester firefighters.
That's right.
Are there precautions, you've touched on this, but are there precautions taught in most or all fire departments about the real danger of flashover or backdraft?
Yes, and that is a routine topic that's covered either at the coffee table, where a lot of discussion takes place, or at the training academy. And it's to be aware of when you go into the building, what does it look like, what do you hear, what do you see, and to wear your full personal protective equipment to cover yourself and protect any burns should you encounter a backdraft or a flashover.
You ever experienced anything like that?
I've been fortunate. I have not.
What did you think of what you saw yesterday?
As a former fire chief myself, my heart went out to the officers on scene. And when you heard on the audio tape the firefighter calling a mayday and then in the background their alert device sounding, that puts a chill on every firefighter.
Yes,
That's gut-wrenching. You never want to hear that. And then the decision that was made to prevent any further firefighters from entering the building, the hardest call the chief has to make.
Ken Willett, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Ron.